Okay, Niake, we're have to get started. So good morning. Welcome to the Tribal Energy Summit. Dos Nananana Niehi Bikanahise, Teresa Spoon Hunter, I enrolled Northern Arapaho and grew up on the Blackfeet Indian Reservation. I'm director of the High Plains American Indian Research Institute, and faculty in the Hop School of Environment and Natural Resources and Native American Indigenous Studies. I've been back in Wyoming since 2014, working at Central Wyoming College for 8 years, and I am starting my third year here at the University of Wyoming. I have a few grants. Well, actually, I have 10 grants that I am overseeing, and a lot of it is doing outreach, building capacity on the reservation. One of the things that, since I've been working with the University of Wyoming is a lot of times tribes are not ready for research. And so a lot of times tribes are overwhelmed. We have, our 2.2 million acres. A good example might be our Fish and Game Department. At one time had 16 game wardens. Right now we have 3. They're required to do range management, fish and game, domestic abuse, and so really, a lot of times when we talk with our tribal partners, we're like, well, what are you doing? What are some of your needs? And so with Hapari, we've really tried to change the perspective of coming to tribe and say, hey, I think this will work for you. Hey, I have an idea, or I think this will benefit you. And so now through, our National Science Foundation Track 1 grant, we really sat down with tribes and held 2 listening sessions with tribes dealing with water, sat down with Fish and Game, with Homeland Security, the Tribal Historic Preservation Office, because if you don't involve TIPO, they'll stop your project, because now they understand with the Herrera case that all public lands must consult TIPO. And then we've had sometimes where the state only consulted one tribe. And, it's caused a lot of contention with the tribes. But in reality, they said, we just want to make sure that our partnerships are transparent with the university. And so right now we are sending out a survey through all college departments to say, did you write in the Wind River tribes? And if you did, does your budget reflect that money going out to the tribes? So we've really tried to be more accountable, be more transparent. And so now when someone calls me and it's like, hey, we want to partner with the tribe, I'm like, technically I can't do it because as a result, I can't be on 12 grants, but I am. And so one of the issues is that, the reservation fulfills the DEI component of grant work. And because the reservation and the Jackson Latino are the only underrepresented minorities in the state of Wyoming. So a lot of times the tribes get written into every grant, but sometimes those grants aren't reflecting that relationship in a positive manner. So by working with tribal partners, having listening sessions with them, we're able to figure out what tools do we have to support their work, rather than us saying, hey, I think this, program will work for you. I have a new technology that'll work for you. We're seeing what are the tribes doing? How can we support them? And as a result, we now have 8 interns in our Native American Education Resource Program. Everyone is on 1 intern. We've hired 3 positions, a data technician, for tribal water engineers, for Homeland Security. We've have a current grant partnership with Carbon Solutions, and we were able to hire an outreach specialist, that's Siona Astorga. She's in the back there. And then we have the intern, Daniel Cardenas. He's one of our students here doing the carbon capture utilization and storage certificate. And, when we finally sat down with the Wind River Energy Commission and introduced them, and last night we had dinner with Wes, he's like, who's these people? And, so we explained, and, and so we're really trying to be better here at the university and being transparent and working with tribal nations, having input. I met some great people. We are planning delayed from Denver to here last night. So it gave us a lot of time to talk with all the people that were coming here. We were all delayed. So again, Daniel is our current undergraduate student in the College of Business, pursuing a major in accountable accounting. Additionally, he is working towards a minor in the School of Energy Resource Management program as a certificate in carbon capture, utilization, storage. Daniel's involved student serves as the Economics Club treasurer, is a member of the American Indian Science, Engineering, and Society, and of Keepers of the Fire. We collectively acknowledge that the University of Wyoming occupies the ancestral and traditional lands of the Cheyenne, Arapaho, Crow, and Shoshone indigenous peoples, along with other native tribes who call the Great Basin and Rocky Mountain region home. We recognize, support, and advocate alongside indigenous individuals and communities who live here with those forcibly removed from their homelands. There's some housekeeping items. There's a simulcast for viewers to watch live online, and recordings will be available in the weeks following the summit through the School of Energy Resources. We will send out a follow-up email with those links once they are posted. Thank you to our sponsors. A conference of this magnitude requires a lot of resources, and your contributions make a significant impact on our ability to offer such a valuable event and keep it free. Thank you all so much for your contributions. We would like to thank all of our speakers for traveling long distances to be here today, representing tribal nations from Wyoming, Colorado, New Mexico, Utah, Montana, and Arizona. There are bios in your programs, or you can scan the QR code on the table to tent to view it electronically and learn more about our incredible speakers. We'd also like to extend a special thanks to our steering committee for helping us put together such an incredible roster, and thank Christine Reed and Peyton Hayes for organizing the details of the summit. It is now my pleasure to introduce Senator Affy Ellis, without whom this conference would not have happened. She is the brainchild behind the entire event, focused on promoting more dialogue between tribes and stakeholders. As such, we only thought it would be appropriate that she should provide a few welcome remarks. You will hear from her again this afternoon for the keynote address. So we will introduce her later with more comprehensive bio, but for now, let me say that Senator Ellis is the state senator representing Wyoming's 8th District in Cheyenne, a member of the Navajo Nation. She was elected in 2016 and was the first Native woman to be elected to serve in the Wyoming legislature. She is also a shareholder at the law firm Brownstein, Hyatt, Farber, and Schreck, where her practice focuses on natural resources, energy, environment, and federal Indian law. Welcome, Senator Ellis.
Good morning, and thank you, Teresa, for that wonderful introduction. I just wanted to give a little background about why we decided to put this conference together, and I'm really thankful for some of the amazing people I've been working with at the School of Energy Resources to come up with ideas, to look at lists of speakers, and to really just have a robust dialogue about what's going on in the West when it comes to energy development. So Wyoming and our tribal nations share a lot of similarities when it comes to energy development. We felt that there were a lot of lessons that could be learned from hearing from our indigenous communities, as well as opportunities to connect and partner on common goals. As such, this conference convenes leaders from energy-producing tribal nations, tribal energy companies, and we want to hear from them directly about challenges and opportunities for continued energy development across the rural American West. This conference couldn't have happened without the School of Energy Resources, which conducts important energy work for our entire state. And for the past 8 years, I've had the pleasure of getting very familiar with a lot of their projects and visiting with Dr. Krutka and her team, and it's a world-class facility. I'm very excited that you're here. To provide a few words about that, I'd like to introduce Dr. Holly Krutka. She's the Executive Director of the School of Energy Resources. She came to the university after serving as the Vice President for Coal Generation and Emissions Technology at Peabody, the world's largest private sector coal producer. Dr. Krutka has spent much of her career focusing on technology and policy pathways to advance carbon capture, as well as identifying non-traditional coal consumption opportunities. Before joining Peabody, she worked as a senior research and transmission analyst for Tri-State Generation and Transmission. She worked as executive director of Cornerstone, and was a research scientist and senior research engineer with ADA Environmental Solutions. In her various roles, she holds 3 patents. She served in leadership positions in the National Coal Council and the Carbon Utilization Research Council, and she has participated in the Carbon Capture Coal Coalition as a judge for the Carbon X Prize competition. She's a very impressive person, and I'm so thankful for her work and mentorship as well. Welcome, Dr. Krutka.
Thank you, Senator Ellis. And I think it's been an honor for us to put this conference together, but it would not have happened without you either, and Teresa and the steering committee. So thank you so much, everyone. So welcome. Good morning. I really appreciate you being here. I'll start today. By the way, I start almost everything by talking about how Wyoming is an energy state. Here in Wyoming, we produce more energy per capita than any other state, and it's not even close. And we have a lot of opportunity to drive new technologies and new innovation across the state of Wyoming. Okay, that's actually what my kids think I sound like. So, um, so the innovation that we do here in Wyoming really truly can have an impact much more broadly. But I think we have some great opportunities to move things forward in a meaningful way across the state. And use Wyoming and the nation's in tribal energy in increasingly sustainable ways. We work on a huge array of topics. First and foremost, and most importantly, our biggest responsibility is educating the next generation of energy leaders. So I see we have students here today. Thank you guys so much for coming. I know it's hard to break away for a whole day, but we really feel grateful that you're willing to do this. And that if you get a chance, in fact, if you're a student at the University of Wyoming, please stand up. If you have a chance to talk to any of these folks today, please do so. I'm always increasingly impressed with just how thoughtful our students are, the kind of questions they ask, how they think about energy at a very deep level, and how they're so much more mature than I was at that age. So we're very proud of you all. And so please, if you're ever looking for workforce issues, we had some great conversations about internships last night. We're always happy to act as a connector or a hub across the university. Of course, our experience and expertise is all about the energy side. So if you're looking for students to work with or graduates, we're happy to connect you with the right departments and to our own graduates. So one of the things that the School of Energy Resources is generally known for is innovation. We work on big projects. We work across the university to start with small scale technologies and really cutting edge research. But the exciting thing about being at the School of Energy Resources and really in Wyoming is that we don't stop in the lab or at a computational result. We have the opportunity to move things out into the field. And that's our goal. The type of people that work with and at the School of Energy Resources are folks who want to make a difference and see the things we're working at actually deployed. And to do that, we need partnerships. And so for the first few years, the School of Energy Resources was mostly a technical research unit, which made sense. But as these technologies get closer and closer to being ready to be deployed, and some of them are ready now, we need partnerships to help us scale these up and deploy them across the state and beyond. And so we've grown our outreach team and our social science team and our engagement team to really build partnerships. And so if there's opportunities that collaboration makes sense to deploy novel technologies, to do any assessments with tribal energy, there's just a lot of common themes between Wyoming and tribal energy. Please let us know. We're always looking for ways to partner. So that really brings us to why we're here today. We're here to continue building relationships. We're here to learn from each other, and we're here to have fun. So please ask questions and be engaged and enjoy your time here today. So we have an incredible lineup. And again, thanks to Senator Ellis for really helping us get this idea moving and giving us the confidence to think that we could pull this off. to Teresa and the rest of the steering committee, and of course, Christine and Peyton for helping us make sure that we actually get all the logistics happening. It is my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, who will be providing some remarks via the live stream. And so Governor Mark Gordon was sworn into office on January 7th, 2019. During his time in office, he has met with tribal leadership regularly to discuss areas of mutual interest. Areas that like that have included missing or murdered Indigenous persons, Indian Child Welfare Act, solid waste management, and general issues, including, of course, energy development. Governor Gordon supports an all of the above energy approach and is a strong supporter of Wyoming being able to develop its own natural resources. Governor Gordon has worked tirelessly to set Wyoming on a sustainable fiscal path. He's committed to making government more transparent, accessible, productive, and efficient. Ladies and gentlemen, Governor Mark Gordon.
Thank you, Ollie. Let me say how much I appreciate Senator Ellis's work here to make sure that we could pull together an energy conference featuring some of the greatest nations in the world. And it is truly an honor to be able to host that. So without further ado, first off, let me tell you how much we appreciate our relationships with the Eastern Shoshone and Northern Arapaho. I know that the Ute, the Southern Ute, the Crow, and the Navajo, Pitt River, and many others may be there. It is high time that this sort of a gathering occur because it is something that we have discovered here in Wyoming. We share a common interest in several things. One is how we can generate income from our mineral development while at the same time protecting and preserving the very land that we and understanding the environment, making sure that we improve it in our efforts, both for ourselves and for our children and their children as well. It has been wonderful to be part of Wyoming's efforts to really lead in an energy future that is about augmentation. I think you all have heard about what artificial intelligence. For those of us in Wyoming, when we think about AI, sometimes we think about something else besides artificial intelligence. But in this case, we know that artificial intelligence is going to bring tremendous amounts of power demand. We know that data centers are going to be a big part of that. It has been exciting. Wyoming is very much a all of the above energy future state, but we ought to do it in a balance, one that recognizes the preciousness of our open spaces. And so we feel very strongly that wind has there we go. Wind has a potential to do a tremendous amount. So does solar, but not in every place. And when we think about wildlife habitat, when we think about precious plants that are of really remarkable value to all of us, we want to make sure that we do something gently on the land, which is one reason we have worked as hard as we have on carbon capture, utilization, and sequestration. We've looked at ways that we can enable more dense power sources to be built. We understand that coal has a role to play in the future. It's been wonderful that Navajo Transitional Energy has been involved in the northeastern part of the state. And so just to be short about this, we feel very strongly that state and tribal destinies are intertwined. It has been remarkable to see our Northern Arapaho come out strongly in the beginning of the Biden administration to point out how important energy development is, not only for the Northern Arapaho, but as citizens of Wyoming. And they supported Wyoming's efforts and pointed that out. And so we can see that the relationship and the ability to work together is extremely important. And recently, I'm about to step down from the International Oil and Gas Conservation Commission. We would love to see tribes and others involved in the efforts that we have there to make sure that we do a good job in crafting regulations that do exactly what I said, balance the need for development with protections and care for the earth. We feel very strongly that open and honest communications are key. And we're really, in the case of Wyoming, you have there at the conference, and I apologize again, it's budget time, but I apologize for not being there. But you have at the conference 3 individuals who work very trying to make sure that our legislation and our tribal governments all understand where each other is. We understand that sometimes we cannot agree, but we do so respectfully, and we do so with an ear to how we can make things better. So you have Kit Wetland there. For the Northern Arapaho, our tribal liaison is Anita Roman, and for the Eastern Shoshone, James Sorrells. They play an integral role as we look at policies that make sense for us. They are liaisons between the tribal business councils and the tribes, and the governor's office and the legislature. And they've been very, very important in how we have moved our relationships forward. So let me end with saying how much I've appreciated the leadership of Senator Ellis. It is remarkable that she has kind of capped off a great legislative career with the organizing of this really wonderful opportunity to gather, to talk about the things that we can do moving forward, both as tribes and hopefully as a country and as states, to make sure that we are careful, provide for our citizens, and make sure that our children and their grandchildren have the same world, the same opportunities that we have had. I wish you well in your conference. Again, I apologize for not being there, and thank you. I think you will have a very exciting time.